Hey guys, Greg here on the Vinyl Rundown. So, you know that Richard McCook made a challenge video about 10 questions for video makers, video creators here on the vinyl community. This is part two. Part one, I answered those 10 questions earlier, and part two is me making the apology for making a big mistake in that video. The mistake got more interest and more comments than the entirety of the whole video and all its content. So let me explain. It's not that big a deal, but it gives me an opening to tell you some stories. Of course, it's a self-serving apology. What else would you expect from an American? I referred to Richard McCook as having a nice Scottish accent. Turns out it's Northern Irish. And this is particularly embarrassing to me because I've spent 6 weeks in Ireland over the period of 3 trips, but the most recent one is 2019. 6 weeks total. We have family back there. And I thought I was so familiar with Irish culture and the accent and everything. And although I've been 6 weeks in Ireland, only about 2 days were in Northern Ireland. And when I got there, I have to be honest, right off the bat, a waitress, I couldn't understand what she was saying. It really sounds very different than other parts of Ireland. And I'm not saying all Ireland sounds the same. East Coast, West Coast, country, city, etc., etc. But Richard, beautiful accent. But I do want to just shed some light on a little bit of my experience in Northern Ireland, as long as we're here, as long as we're talking. Okay, yeah, 2 cities we spent time in, Belfast and Derry. And I went through my pictures on my camera. I only have a couple of photos. I have an embarrassing photo of me in Derry during the rain. And I don't think I have any photos of Belfast. They're on the computer, but not on the phone. I took thousands of photos, by the way. Most picturesque country on the planet in many ways. But we actually, my friend invited me to go to Ireland because he wanted to go to the British Open, which that year was north of Belfast in a, what's the golf place called? I can't remember. It's just a few blocks away, a few miles from a thing called the Giant's Causeway, which is an amazing geological thing that was used on the cover of Houses of the Holy with Led Zeppelin. And I actually chatted with one of the people about that, and they said, well, the cover of House of the Holy is really a conglomeration of several different sites, shots that were sort of photoshopped together, or however they combined them in those days. So anyway, I dropped my friend off at the British Open. It was pouring rain. Not a big golfer myself, not a zero. I don't golf at all. So I went over and took the tour of the Bushmills Distillery, Bushmills Distillery, and then headed back to Belfast. Anyway, Americans don't know a lot about Northern Ireland. One thing I'm not familiar with is, do the Northern Irish and the Irish sort of get along as one big community? They were sort of together for many years, and then they had this breakup, and there's a lot of political history there. Some of it is quite violent and disturbing, let's say. So I don't really know how the Northern Ireland and the rest of the Republic of Ireland actually think of each other. It would be sort of as if Texas broke off and joined another country, and how would Americans deal with that? Do we envy them, or do we get along with them? I don't know. If it's not necessary, Richard, for you to go into that. The thing I did want to mention is, so when we were in the city of Derry, Derry is a city with 2 names. The Irish call it Derry, and the English call it Londonderry. And just like I may have offended Richard by referring to him as Scottish, you would definitely offend an Irish person if you called that other city by its non-Irish name. I won't say it again. Beautiful city with a grand old wall that surrounds it like a fortress, and we spent some time on top of the wall, inside the wall. But then later I found out when I went to Belfast, well, our cousin is a video post-production guy who has a very successful business in Belfast. And he actually his company worked on every single episode of Game of Thrones. I may edit in some of the castles from Game of Thrones that I visited, which are right up near Giant's Causeway, one castle. But, so Derry, most Americans don't know anything about Ireland, let alone Northern Ireland. So another show he worked on was called Derry Girls, Derry Girls. And it takes place in the 80s. There's great music. You guys my age and ladies who like 80s music will love this. You know, the Cranberries and U2 and stuff like that. Pet Shop Boys, who are not Irish. But hilarious show on Netflix, so check it out. I may edit in a clip if I can figure out how to do that. Otherwise, Richard, accept my apologies. And, I put on one of my Irish t-shirts. The Temple Bar is a very touristy, crowded bar, just about a block from where we stayed on Fleet Street in Dublin. And it's just packed with American tourists drinking their first Guinness. But there's lots of pubs that we attended in both Ireland and Northern Ireland. So beautiful country. Anxious to chat about it with anybody who is interested in it. And that's my apology video. Please go watch Richard McCook from Northern Ireland and subscribe to his channel. And that's it, folks. Talk to you soon.
Sweet suffering Jehovah.
What are you playing at? Rifling through a dead non's handbag?
She stole my lipstick, Mommy.
Don't lie. Sister Declan was a woman of God.
Actually, she was known to be a bit light-fingered.
Okay.
Lovely altogether. You know, every year I sit backstage listening to the singers, and it really makes me realise just how talented the professionals who originally recorded these tracks were.